Hi guys, I'm Doc John.
I'm Dr. Chloe Costigan.
And together we own Mobility Doc, and we have sponsored Quadzilla, the very race that you're about to do. We thought it'd be a good idea to give you a primer to make sure that you are on top of your A game before you start your race.
Our primer is a signature at Mobility Doc. It's something that we give our patients to improve their flexibility, stability, and strength and prepare them for whatever activity they're going to do. In this case, we're going to get you ready to run all those hills. Start this primer now, because then you give yourself 4 weeks to improve your flexibility, stability, and strength.
Make sure you do it every time you're about to run. You could even do it on the days that you're not running. And then we've made sure to incorporate all the biggest hitters from hip flexors and glutes, hamstrings and calves.
This primer will target all those muscle groups that you need, so then you can run with more ease and you can have a better race. We're excited to see you guys crush those hills.
Let's get into the primer.
For the primer, you're going to do 3 rounds. You're going to do 30 seconds of the lunge stretch, then 10 hip circles on each side, and then 5 forward lunges into a single leg RDL on each side. Do this primer pre-race in order to prepare yourself for all of that elevation that you're going to do. You need enough flexibility in your hip flexors and quads as well as your foot. Then we're also making sure that your glutes and hamstrings are firing in the way that they need to climb those hills.
So the first exercise in your primer is going to be the standing hip flexor stretch. You are going to get into a lunge position, and what you're seeing Dr. Chloe do here is she has dropped that back knee. Her weight is equally through the front and the back of her body. She's squeezing actively this glute, and that is like part of the secret sauce here. Like, if you do not squeeze your glutes and tuck your pelvis, try to arch instead. If you get a big arch and that's how you're trying to stretch your hip flexor, you are not stretching your hip flexor, you are just jamming up your spine. So squeeze your butt, tuck your hips, keep that knee dropped. You don't have to go down to the ground. If you squeeze your glutes, you will feel this in the front. Also, I want you to take notice of Chloe being on her toes on the back leg here. Chloe likes to talk a lot about big toe extension, so make sure you are getting the most out of stretching that foot in the back. You're gonna hold 30 seconds on each side before you move on to exercise 2.
Standing hip circles are a great way to improve some of the flexibility and glute activation on the up leg, and it's also going to be helpful for improving the stability on the stance leg. So we'll show you what that looks like. So John's going to lift up his right leg. So he has that knee up, and now the way that we like to describe this is that his foot is gliding along parallel to the ground, and then once he gets to about 90 degrees, then his foot starts to come back. You can keep going. So now you see how his foot is sliding up parallel to the ground, and now it's starting to point back, okay? So he's gonna start with hip flexion, then he's moving out to the side, that's abduction, and then he's turning the leg. That part is going to be that really hard part. So bring that leg out to the side. So this transition of he's rotating through, that's what is really challenging. This is going to be really helpful for making sure that your hips are open. You're going to do 10 repetitions on each side. I am saying 10 because it's going to give you a little bit of an opportunity to kind of refine that movement. It's not necessarily something that is super natural, so it's going to give you a little bit of a chance to kind of find your groove with it.
Really pay attention to how your left feels versus your right, because this is a great opportunity to identify and eliminate any asymmetries. Let's get into exercise number 3. So our third and final exercise that we're going to show you is a lunge to an RDL, or Romanian deadlift. And the reason is we spent the time stretching through the hip flexor. We've also made sure we had full stability and mobility through our hips. Now we're going to put that full thing together and make sure all cylinders are firing equally. So Dr. Chloe is going to start with her left leg going forward first into the lunge. She steps, the knee drops down, she comes up, and then she's going to go into a single leg RDL. And perfect. We're going to stick with that side for now so I can keep you illustrating that, but you're going to alternate left and right when you do it. So stay there for a second. So, and you can just rest down all the way just to drop your knee. So if you can see, Dr. Chloe's knee is in a straight line with her hip. So her femur here is like straight into the floor, perpendicular if you want. Her torso is just following up. So her shoulder, her hip, and her knee are in a straight line, and so it's right through her ear and her head. So you are nice and vertical before you then come back up and then you push back, and then from here, you're gonna do a single leg RDL, so her pelvis is staying nice and even and level. She's squeezing this glute on that side. Her shoulders are nice and even, and her back is nice and neutral. She's not rounding, she's not doing anything funky with the spine. Good. Again, you're gonna alternate sides.
So when I'm here, we just did that lunge stretch so then I can stay open. What I see most frequently is people will lean forward. Now I'm just putting all this weight on that quad. We want both sides to be working. So I'm trying to stay as upright as I can. Then as I come back, I'm trying to find that stability on that right leg. And then I'm gonna transition into that RDL. I'm trying to keep both sides of my pelvis pointing down that whole time.
Yeah, if you have difficulty doing this, and a lot of us will, what you can do is you can abbreviate how far down you go into lunge.
I'll show you on my left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she steps, she's gonna drop just a little bit, then she'll come back. Perfect, and instead of going right into the RDL, you can put that foot down. So you can get your balance again if you need. And then you go into the RDL, and then you come up. Perfect, so you can break it down a little bit more. If you feel really confident and comfortable, you can flow through it. The idea is, the reason why you're doing 3 rounds of those 3 exercises is because by round 3, you should be so much more mobile, stable, strong, feeling like you're able to more freely move through all of it.
And the other thing too is that what you're doing is you're creating a movement pattern. So then your brain recognizes, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. So all of these exercises prepare you for when you're doing something like running, because you've already taken out some of those pieces of running, you've worked on those, and then you're going to be able to integrate those for when you're running.
Thanks so much for watching this. We really appreciate you allowing us to do this with you and for you. We look forward to seeing you at Quadzilla.
And hearing your feedback of how you like this primer.
That's right. If you have any questions at any point also, feel free to reach out through any of our socials. We'd be happy to give you anything that you need.
If you like this primer, make sure to share it with a friend and check out all of our other free content on YouTube.